Hey guys, welcome to First United Methodist Church of Baton Rouge's Preteen ministry. We are so glad that you took just a few moments of your Sunday to spend it here with us. And we're really excited to dive right in to what God has to teach us and you today. So let's get down to it. We're starting a brand new series this month all about determination. And how fitting is it that that series is called Unstuck, Don't Give Up. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are feeling very stuck right now, maybe just stuck in your home, maybe stuck in the midst of finishing up school for the year. But whatever you feel stuck in, we hope that this entire month you feel like with God on your side, you can get through it. So our truth today from the Bible comes from the book of Acts, chapter 1. This is 40 days after Jesus was resurrected. So what he did in those 40 days is he stuck around and he taught and he prepared his disciples to do the work that he was doing after he left. So we see in Acts chapter 1 the very first instruction that Jesus gives his disciples. Check it out. While staying with them, he ordered them not to leave Jerusalem, but to wait there for the promise of the Father. This, he said, is what you have heard from me. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he told his disciples to do? The very first thing Jesus told his disciples to do once he left for them to continue the incredible work that he was doing was to wait. He wanted them to sit there. He wanted them to not leave Jerusalem. When just earlier he had told them, make disciples of all nations. They said, Jesus, how are we supposed to make disciples of all nations if we can't leave this one? He continues, and he tells them, for John baptized with water, but you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days from now. So that gift that Jesus was talking about was actually the Holy Spirit from God to the disciples. And they would use it to spread the gospel to all nations. So the Holy Spirit would be the one that would give the disciples the power to do what seemed like an impossible mission. Have you ever been on one of these impossible missions before? See, my dad used to always tell me about this paper route that he used to run when he was a kid. He would take his bike early in the morning and he'd grab a sack of papers and he would start delivering all over his section of town. So I want you to put yourself in the shoes of my dad as a paper boy, okay? So here's a picture of our paper boy right here on the screen. He's carrying a few papers, right? Because his route is to cover the Broadmoor side of Baton Rouge. That's it. He's just got the Broadmoor area and he doesn't have to do much else. And he does a great job at it. So what if his boss comes to him one day and says, you know what? I don't just need you to do the Broadmoor area of Baton Rouge. I actually need you to do the Broadmoor area and downtown because those businesses downtown and the few homes downtown really need their paper. I think our paper boy would get a little stressed. His paper supply would need to be a little bigger, but I think he could do it. I really think he could manage. What would you think in that situation? Okay, so you're doing this for a little while. You've got Broadmoor, you've got downtown, but then he says, no, I need you to get Broadmoor downtown and you know what? You're doing such a great job. Why don't you get the rest of Baton Rouge? You just cover all of Baton Rouge on your bike with all of these papers. Your paper stack would be huge. You wouldn't know what to do. I think at this point, you would feel like this mission is a little impossible for you to cover. But your boss isn't done yet. No, he has expanded your paper route to the entire state of Louisiana. Now you're covering the entire state of Louisiana, and not long after, you're asked to cover the entire United States. How would you feel as a paper boy on your bike in this moment? Do you think the disciples felt this way? Do you think they felt that the challenge and mission that Jesus was giving them may have been a little impossible? I think this is exactly how they felt. But I think they were comforted by the fact that in Matthew 28, Jesus not only challenges them to make disciples of all nations, but he also tells them at the very end of that verse, I will be with you. You see, one of the great privileges of being followers of Jesus, like you and I are, is that we get to take up this challenge. Something that seemed impossible to the disciples can be very easy for us, but we also know that it can be very difficult. You see, sharing your faith and sharing your love for Jesus with someone who doesn't know him or doesn't want to hear about it can seem pretty impossible. But the comforting thing is, just like Matthew 28 tells us, he is with us. Every time you begin to share your faith with someone, God is with you. And he doesn't only promise the power to be able to share your faith, but he also promises his presence and that he will be with you wherever you go. So this week, I want you to think about this very key question, and that is, what seems impossible to you? Maybe it's not sharing your faith with other people. Maybe that seems pretty easy to you. But I could guarantee there's something that seems impossible, something that you've thought about doing but can never gain the courage to do because you don't believe that you can actually do it. So I want you to think to yourself, what seems impossible? And I want you to begin thinking how you can do that task. Because now you know that God can give you the power of the Holy Spirit to do anything you set your mind to, and that he will always be with you wherever you go. So thanks for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. And I really hope you join us in our Zoom small groups this week. Check out the very end of this video to get information on those groups.